The fluorescent lights of First National Bank buzzed with the random staccato of a dying insect. Ethan Morrison sat behind his teller window, watching the minutes ooze by like molasses on a cold night. 2:47 p.m. He refreshed his Instagram feed for the 100th time that day. Marcus Rivera lounged on a yacht in Monaco, champagne glass catching the Mediterranean sun. 2 million likes in the first 2 days. 2 million people who envied his perfect, effortless existence. Ethan's own account stared back at him. 47 followers, most of them bots. The injustice of it burned in his chest like acid. He was better than Rivera, smarter, more deserving. He could craft the perfect caption, knew exactly which angles worked best, understood the algorithm's cruel mathematics better than anyone. But the world was blind to his genius. Ethan looked up from his phone. "Next customer, please." An elderly woman shuffled forward, counting crumpled bills with arthritic fingers. Ethan forced a smile and processed her deposit, his mind elsewhere. The clock's hands moved with deliberate cruelty. 4:30, 4:45, 4:52. Behind him, his coworkers huddled in animated conversation. Jessica's laugh pierced the air, sharp, exclusive. "So we're all meeting in O'Malley's after we get paroled?" she joked. "Drinks are half price until 7. Ethan straightened in his chair. Finally, a chance to connect, to be part of something real. He waited for the invitation. Waited. "Sounds perfect. I'll bring Amanda," Norm from Loans replied. "Great. See you there." The conversation dissolved into mundane chatter about weekend plans and sports teams. Ethan remained invisible, unnoticed, forgotten. At 5 o'clock sharp, he gathered his things with mechanical precision. Through the bank's glass doors, he watched his coworkers pile into their cars, heading for a world he wasn't welcome in. Their laughter echoed across the parking lot, each note a small knife between his ribs. His apartment greeted him with its familiar, suffocating embrace. Beige walls, second-hand furniture, the persistent smell of loneliness and microwave dinners. Ethan set his takeout containers on the kitchen counter. Pad Thai from the place down the street, the same order he'd made every Friday for 3 years. Creature of habit, slave to routine. He was reaching for his phone to document his authentic Friday night dinner when there was a knock at the door. Strange. Maybe Sally from down the hall was popping by to see what he was up to. Ethan opened the door with a smile, which quickly turned to confusion when he noticed no one was there. At his feet, he spotted it. A package, sleek, matte black, sitting on his doorstep like an exclusive gift. His name was written across the top in elegant silver script, Ethan Morrison. No return address, no shipping label, just his name floating on the black surface like moonlight on water. Inside his apartment, Ethan turned the package over in his hands. It was heavier than expected, with an almost magnetic quality that made his fingers tingle. A subtle hum emanated from within, barely perceptible, like distant machinery. His phone chimed. An email from an address he'd never seen, thebrand@infinity.com. Subject: Collaboration Opportunity. Dear Ethan, congratulations! You have been selected for an exclusive partnership that will transform your digital presence forever. Your authentic voice and untapped potential have not gone unnoticed. Inside this package, you'll find everything needed to begin your journey to viral stardom. No contracts, no obligations, simply create. The world is waiting to see the real you. It was signed, The Brand. Ethan's hands trembled as he tore open the package. Inside, nestled in foam like sleeping predators, lay two objects. A pair of augmented reality glasses with frames so thin they seemed carved from shadow itself, and a quadcopter drone no larger than his palm. The drone's single lens regarded him with unblinking intensity, a mechanical eye that seemed to see straight through him. He slipped on the glasses. The world exploded into digital overlay. His shabby apartment transformed before his eyes. Virtual furnishings replaced his threadbare sofa, holographic artwork adorned his walls, and floating text bubbles appeared above everyday objects, suggesting the perfect caption for each potential post. The drone rose from its foam bed with whisper-quiet rotors, hovering at eye level, its lens focused on him with mechanical precision. A message appeared in the corner of his vision. Ready to create? He nodded. Follow me. The drone led him out into the Seattle evening, through streets he'd walked 1,000 times but had never truly seen. The glasses transformed everything, identifying the perfect lighting conditions, the most aesthetically pleasing backgrounds, the optimal angles for maximum engagement. Coffee shop aesthetic, trending up 23% this week, the glasses whispered in his ear. He found himself inside a cafe he'd never noticed before, ordering an elaborate latte he couldn't afford. But the shot was perfect, the lighting divine, the composition flawless. Post uploaded, engagement increasing. 47 followers, 63, 84. The numbers climbed with intoxicating speed. Rooftop golden hour, viral potential, high. The drone guided him up narrow staircases, through service elevators, onto rooftops he had no business accessing. But somehow, doors opened for him. Security cameras turned away. The world conspired to give him the perfect shot. 354 followers, 672, 1,203. By midnight, he was approaching 5,000. In his apartment, Ethan collapsed on his bed, the glasses still glued to his face. The drone settled on his nightstand, its red eye dim but watchful. He'd done it. Finally, after years of obscurity, he was being seen. The validation was intoxicating, pure liquid gold flowing through his veins. But as he drifted toward sleep, something nagged at him. A sound he couldn't quite place. The drone's rotors, still spinning. Always spinning. Even in his dreams. Saturday morning brought a revelation that shattered his reality like glass. His phone buzzed with notifications, hundreds of them. Comments, likes, shares, follows. But as he scrolled through his posts, confusion crept in like ice water through his veins. There were photos he didn't remember taking, videos he had no memory of filming, a time-lapse of him painting a mural downtown. He'd never painted anything in his life. A video of him laughing with friends at a house party. He'd spent Friday evening alone. A selfie from the Space Needle's observation deck, captioned, "Living my best life." Hashtag Seattle. Hashtag blessed. Hashtag no filter. He'd never been to the Space Needle. The admission price was $37, money he didn't have. The glasses flickered to life without him touching them. Content optimization in progress. What does that mean? He whispered. Biographical enhancement complete. A chill ran down his spine. He tried to remove the glasses, but they wouldn't budge. The frames had somehow fused, become part of his skin, part of him. The drone rose from the nightstand, hovering inches from his face. Follow the script. What script? I don't understand. A sharp pain shot through his skull, white-hot, blinding. When his vision cleared, a message pulsed in red letters. Deviation from narrative not permitted. Ethan stumbled to his bathroom mirror. The person staring back looked like him, but better. His skin was clearer, his jaw more defined, his eyes brighter. Digital enhancement overlaid his reflection like a beautiful lie. His phone rang. "Ethan, honey!" His mother's voice bright with excitement. "I saw your post from the lake house. It looked absolutely gorgeous. When did you buy a lake house?" "Mom, What lake house?" "Oh, don't be modest. The one in your Instagram story yesterday. The sunset was breathtaking, and that girl you were with looked lovely. Is she your girlfriend?" His blood turned to slush. He remembered his Friday night perfectly. The drone guiding him to cafes and rooftops, the real posts he'd made. But a lake house? A girl? "What girl? Mom, I went to some cafes and took photos yesterday, but—" "Ethan, are you feeling all right? You posted about it yourself. That beautiful dinner by the water, the champagne. I'm so proud of you, sweetheart. You've worked so hard for this success." The line went dead. "Mom? Mom?" Ethan pressed the phone to his ear, hearing only silence. "Can you hear me?" He immediately hit redial. The phone rang once, twice, then a recorded message. "The number you have dialed is not in service." Impossible! He'd just been talking to her. He tried again. Same message. His hands trembling, he scrolled to his mother's contact and hit call again. This time, his phone screen flickered violently. The call button disappeared, reappeared, then the entire Contacts app crashed. A flood of Instagram notifications suddenly exploded across his screen. Hundreds of them, all at once. Hearts, comments, shares, follows. The notifications came so fast and furious that his phone became nearly unusable, the screen a blur of digital noise. Ding, 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 ding. Each notification pulled at his attention like fishhooks. Even as panic about his mother clawed at his chest, his eyes were drawn to the metrics, the numbers, the validation pouring in. When the notification storm finally subsided, he tried calling his mother one more time. The contact was gone. Not just the number. Her entire entry had vanished from his phone, as if she'd never existed. With shaking hands, he opened Instagram. His real posts were there. The cafe shot, the rooftop golden hour photo. But sandwiched between them was content he'd never created. A story showing him at a lakeside restaurant with a stunning woman he'd never met. They were laughing, sharing dessert. The timestamp showed yesterday, 7:43 p.m., when he'd been on that rooftop, alone, taking pictures of the sunset. The drone circled him like a mechanical vulture. "Your story arc requires authentication." More posts appeared on his feed. A collaboration with a major fashion brand, a sponsored trip to Napa Valley, a video of him giving a motivational speech to hundreds of people. 18,000 followers, 42,000, 76,000. The numbers climbed higher with each fabricated memory, each manufactured moment of a life he wasn't living, but somehow was. A knock at his door made him jump. He opened it to find a young man with perfectly styled hair and empty, glassy eyes, another influencer. The stranger's smile was too wide, too bright, like a mask stretched over something hollow. "Ethan, dude, so excited about our collab today." "I'm sorry, who are you?" Marcus Rivera. We've been DMing for weeks about the streetwear shoot. Don't tell me you forgot. The brand sent me your address." Behind Marcus, Ethan glimpsed a small black drone hovering in the hallway. "I think there's been a mistake," he said, trying to close the door. Marcus's hand shot out with inhuman speed, holding it open. His smile never wavered, but something dark flickered behind his eyes. The brand doesn't make mistakes, bro. Now come on, we've got content to create. The next few hours blurred together in a kaleidoscope of manufactured experiences. Marcus led him through Seattle like a tour guide in hell, their drones choreographing elaborate shots of them laughing, shaking hands, pointing at landmarks. They visited stores Ethan couldn't afford, restaurants where he was mysteriously recognized, parties where everyone seemed to know him, but their eyes held that same glassy emptiness as Marcus's. 127,000 followers, 234,000, 445,000. Each milestone felt like another shackle clicking into place. "Isn't this incredible?" Marcus asked, as they posed in front of Pike Place Market. "How long have you been working with them?" Marcus's smile flickered for just a moment, a glitch in the programming. "Time isn't... It's different now. I used to be like you, small following, big dreams. Then the brand found me and..." He gestured at his perfect life with hands that shook almost imperceptibly. "Look at me now." "But none of this is real, is it?" "Real? Reality's overrated, bro. Perception is everything. Right now, millions of people perceive us as living the perfect life. Isn't that worth something?" The drone cameras captured every moment, every forced smile, every hollow laugh. Ethan felt like an actor in a play he'd never auditioned for, reading from a script he'd never seen. As evening fell, Marcus's demeanor shifted. The artificial cheerfulness cracked like old paint. "I have to ask you something," he whispered, his voice barely audible over the drone's humming. Do you ever remember who you were before?" Ethan stared at him. "What do you mean?" "I keep having these dreams, memories maybe, of a different life, a real life. I had a sister, I think, and parents who worried about me. But when I try to call them..." Marcus's face contorted in anguish. "The numbers don't exist anymore. Like they never existed." A red message flashed across both their glasses simultaneously. "Narrative coherence requires focus." Marcus's face went blank again. The artificial smile returned. "Sorry, bro, got a little deep there for a second. Hashtag influencer problems, am I right?" But his eyes were screaming. That night, alone in his apartment, Ethan tried to piece together the fragments of his dissolving reality. His followers had topped 1 million. His posts showed a life of luxury and adventure that made his old existence seem like a fever dream. Brand deals flooded his inbox, interview requests, collaboration offers. He was famous. He was successful. He was completely and utterly trapped. The drone sat on his nightstand, its red eye pulsing like a digital heartbeat. The stupid thing had no off switch and never seemed to need charging. He wondered how the hell it kept working without power. It was the same thing with the glasses. They couldn't be shut down. They couldn't be removed. The narrative couldn't be stopped. Ethan collapsed onto his bed, hyperventilating. His heart hammered against his ribs like a caged animal. The weight of his situation pressed down on him, trapped, manipulated, his life no longer his own. Then the glasses began to hum. A soft, melodic tone filled his ears. Not unpleasant, almost soothing. The lenses shifted to a gentle blue glow, displaying swirling patterns that seemed to pulse in rhythm with his breathing. "Sleep mode activated," a voice whispered in his head, warm, maternal. "You've had a stressful day. Rest now." Against his will, his breathing began to slow. The patterns in his vision grew more hypnotic, more beautiful. His eyelids grew heavy as endorphins flooded his system, artificial calm washing over him like a chemical tide. "Everything will be better in the morning," the voice cooed. "Trust the brand. We only want what is best for you." His muscles relaxed. His anxiety melted away like ice in sunlight. Even as a part of his mind screamed in horror at this violation, his body surrendered to the forced serenity. Sleep took him. His phone rang at 3 a.m. "Ethan?" His mother's voice was different now, confused, frightened. "Honey, I'm at the hospital. There was an accident. Your father. We were coming to see you, but—" "Mom? What accident? What are you talking about?" "The car. We were driving to that restaurant where you said to meet you for dinner, the one by the lake. But you never showed up, and then—" Her voice cracked. "This young man, he ran a red light. About your age, honey. He was looking at his phone, taking pictures of something in the sky. The northern lights, I think the police said." Ethan's blood turned to ice. "The poor boy didn't even see us coming. He was so distracted by his phone, trying to get the perfect shot." His mother's voice grew worried. "Ethan, promise me you're not obsessing over that phone of yours. I see how much time you spend on that Instagram thing, and I'm scared. Promise me you'll be careful." "Mom, I promise I'm not obsessed with my phone." The lie tasted like ash in his mouth. "Good, because I couldn't bear to lose you too. Your father, he's in surgery now, but the doctors think—" Static consumed the line. Ethan stared at his phone screen. The call had come from his mother's number, the same number that had been disconnected just hours earlier, the same contact that had vanished from his phone entirely. He frantically called her back, but the automated message returned, "The number you have dialed is not in service." He tried his father's phone. Same result. Their landline at home. Nothing. But then his phone lit up with new Instagram posts uploading automatically, content he'd never created, showing him at scenic overlooks photographing the northern lights. The timestamps showed tonight, right now. Somewhere across the city, another young man was in a hospital bed. Another family was grieving. Another story arc had reached its tragic conclusion. And now, the drone's lens focused on him with mechanical sympathy. "Your story arc requires sacrifice." A new post appeared on his feed without his input, a heartfelt message about the tragic loss of his parents, who had died in a car accident while rushing to meet him. The post was perfectly crafted, emotionally manipulative, designed for maximum engagement. #RIP. #family. #grateful. The likes poured in like digital vultures. 2.3 million followers. Ethan screamed until his throat was raw, but the sound never reached his neighbors. The brand had insulated him from the world, and the world from him. He was a character in their story now, a puppet dancing to the algorithm's cruel tune. And the story was almost over. It began at dawn. Ethan awoke in a haze of confusion, his mind thick as molasses. How long had he slept? Minutes? Hours? The forced sleep cycles had left him perpetually disoriented, never fully rested, always slightly off balance. Perfect for compliance. His drone hovered inches from his face, its red eye glowing with malevolent intensity. A red message pulsed across his vision. Final performance required. "No," he whispered through the fog of exhaustion. "I won't do it." But his body was no longer his to command. His legs swung over the side of the bed. His feet found the floor. His hands reached for clothes he didn't choose, dressing him in the perfect outfit for his final scene. He mumbled, barely audible, "No, no, no." His body walked to the door, opened it, and he stepped into the hallway. "Stop! Please stop!" The words barely escaped his lips. Down the stairs, through the lobby, onto the street. Each step was precise, purposeful, choreographed. His mind screamed in protest, while his flesh obeyed commands transmitted through the glasses, through the drone, through the invisible network that had claimed him. He moved through the city, passing people oblivious to his torment. Block after block, turn after turn, his body navigated the route with GPS precision, while his consciousness remained trapped inside, a passenger in his own skin. The rooftop bar, the elevator, the final ascent. Only when he stepped onto that familiar rooftop, where he'd taken some of his first viral shots, did the message appear. Live. He found himself positioned perfectly against the Seattle skyline backdrop, the same golden hour lighting that had launched his digital career, now illuminating his finale. Ethan felt his face arrange itself into the perfect smile, the same empty expression he'd seen on Marcus's face, on the faces of all the brand's chosen ones. His mouth opened, and words he'd never written poured out in his voice. "Hey, beautiful people, your boy Ethan here with something super special today. I'm back where it all began, this amazing rooftop where I shared some of my first posts with you. I want to talk to you about chasing your dreams." His mind screamed, "No, no, no, no!" But his body continued the performance, step by carefully choreographed step, toward the building's edge. The drones circled him like digital angels of death, capturing every angle, every moment, every carefully planned beat of his manufactured story. The comments flooded in. "OMG, Ethan, you're so inspiring." Another follower commented, "Wait, is he really going to—" 5 million followers, 6 million, 7 million. His body reached the ledge. The wind whipped through his hair, perfect for the cinematography. In his final moment of consciousness, Ethan understood the horrible truth. This wasn't about followers, or fame, or viral content. This was about consumption, digital cannibalism. The brand fed on human stories, human dreams, human desperation. It consumed lives and transformed them into content, into engagement metrics, into the endless appetite of an audience that would devour anything for entertainment. He wasn't the first. He wouldn't be the last. Like all stories, his demanded an ending. His body stepped forward, and Ethan Morrison fell. The final post uploaded automatically as he plummeted. Sometimes you have to take a leap of faith. Hashtag YOLO, hashtag falling in love with life. The video went viral instantly. 10 million views in the first hour. The comments were a mix of shock, speculation, and marketing inquiries. Was this real or staged? What an artist, genius publicity stunt. DM me for brand collaboration opportunities. By noon, Ethan was trending worldwide. By evening, his account had been rebranded as a memorial page. Ethan Morrison, digital legend. His influence lives on through us. The machine rolled on, indifferent to the lives it consumed. Somewhere across the city, in another small apartment, another lonely dreamer found a sleek black package on his doorstep, his name written in silver script across the matte surface. The audience was always hungry, and the brand had an endless supply of players willing to be fed. In this realm of manufactured dreams and curated nightmares, authenticity becomes the rarest currency of all, and the most dangerous thing to lose.